All right, welcome back to the Operators Pod. I don't know what episode this is. It doesn't matter. We are going to jump into an interview with Curtis from Portland Leather today. This is a mind-blowing episode for me. You know, we sometimes talk about supply chain. We sometimes talk about domestic manufacturing. We talk about marketing. But this guy is just doing everything at a high level. And my head is still reeling from the conversation. I hope you enjoy it. You are going to see some crazy and hear some crazy things. Oh, also get ready for the energy level. He's taking it up a notch, like maybe a few. As always, thank you to Fulfill, Northbeam, and Postscript for making this stuff happen. It doesn't work without them. So let's do this. It's so easy to talk about like how hard it is to build like proper ERP.
It's such a conundrum too because usually implementing an ERP is so difficult. We're starting a new vertical, and as we're starting it, one of the questions we're asking at the beginning actually is when do we need to integrate with an ERP? When do we need to start thinking this way? Because it was so incredibly painful when we finally did it with Simple Modern. And so usually the integrations on these things are just an absolute bear because like you said, Matt, it's just a mess usually.
Well, it's also the funny thing is there's been multiple times in our business history where we actually weigh the decision of do something based on the level of difficulty to make it work with existing integrations. Where it's
That's where it's really
isn't that
frustrating
stupid?
when accounting is stopping you from selling things.
Yeah.
And those are the things that'll just drive you crazy as an entrepreneur.
I have literally lost my shit because of this type of stuff. We're sorry, we're not doing it for what reason? It's like, oh, it's because integrations is going to take forever. I'm like, this is why I don't want to own a company anymore.
Yeah. So what do you guys think the highest score you could give to a NetSuite is? I think both you guys are in NetSuite. What's the highest score you could possibly give them? 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
It's really hard to get above probably the high threes, 3
Yeah.
point something. The other problem with it, Sean, is that like you can't just implement NetSuite usually. You have to go and get all of these extra contractors. This entire ecosystem of people around NetSuite just to help build integrations. And the problem with that is that the mileage really varies there and the quality level really varies there. That was actually where we had some of our problem is that we
Yeah.
hired a contractor and we spent a whole bunch of money. They were supposed to be building integrations only for us to get integrations that sucked where we had to go back and redo them ourselves internally over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So it's not even just the NetSuite thing, although like I'm not like going to give it a 5 out of 5 or anything, but it's so complicated and you need so many other contractors that really drags down the score as well.
I think it's like I think it's ERP is like telcos, Sean. Like they're basically in the business of managing dissatisfaction because they're all so difficult to use.
Yeah, like so famously what Matt's referencing is that Comcast has like 10% of people like Comcast. Yet it's $100 billion a year business, right? It's
Right.
because like it's
Like
it's
nobody likes their telco provider. Like when was the last time you're like, man, I love AT&T. What a great day to be on AT&T.
right. So
Said nobody.
we just released Sean's vendor list where I give 1 to 5 scores to everyone that we currently engage with. Fulfill, my ERP of choice, I give them a 4 out of 5 stars, and they were like, if you do not know about ERPs, maybe that you'd be bummed out by getting a 4 out of 5
That's
stars.
an incredible score.
Yeah, I think the theoretical limit for an ERP should be a 3. Nobody is happy with it. It is like going to the dentist. That's
Yeah.
the it's like even if you have the best dentist on earth, even if they're so kind and so sweet, they're still gonna put a drill in your mouth. You know what I mean? Like that is the ERP business. So if you're looking for a 4 out of 5 ERP, which if you grade on a curve is like a 1 billion out of 10 ERP, check out Fulfill.
You're in Mexico.
Yeah.
I read that that's where your factories are.
I actually bought a house down here. It was a former soccer player's house. And I walked into this thing. It was just magical, right? It's just like 4 floors. It's got a 50-foot tree in the middle. And Everywhere you look is beautiful and glass. And he told me the price, and I literally just like shook. And I ran to my people like, we got to buy this house. And I bought it just for like 1 week a month when I come down here for us and our employees. And I came down and I never went back. I just didn't go back to Portland. True story. I called up my friend, a realtor. I said, have people go pack everything up, put it in storage, sell my house.
Dude, that's amazing because I hate Portland. I hate the Northwest. I'm from there. So yeah, dude, you that's the American dream. You escaped the gloomy Northwest and now you're in Mexico. I hear Leon, Mexico is like the best leather manufacturing on earth. Is that true?
It is a 2.5 million people and it's manufacturing, but it's actually a very small town. I know everybody. I cannot go to a restaurant or a place where I am not known because there's people who run all this. So there's factories. Everybody's here. But the people are so kind and wonderful that it's different than Portland. Portland is, if you want to see a friend of yours and you're like, hey, we should hang out sometime. They're like, yeah, maybe in a couple of weeks on a Thursday, I have some time. We literally one day, I said, we should do karaoke tonight. And that night, 38 people showed up for karaoke at 9 o'clock that night. Everybody brought something and they stayed till 4 in the morning singing. It's just like, it is 1,000 celebrations. They're always doing something. They're always being active. They're always in each other's lives. And that is not Portland. Portland is, I already have a friend. I don't need another one. I'm
Dude,
busy in my
totally.
freaking life. I don't need you. And it is semi-warm, but it is not a connection city. And Mexico is connection. It is all about, hey, this is all we got as people. Let's be great to people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the move down to Mexico. We've had a lot of friends who've moved close to be with their factories, and we had a friend who moved to Mexico to be with his factory. When did you make the move? Pre-COVID, during COVID, when?
That's the great story. You guys actually were at a party and you met a guy named McCoy Merkley. You may not forget him. He's my chief marketing officer. And he raved about you, Sean. He's like, oh, you got to meet this Sean guy. You really like him. And whenever anybody says that, I'm sure that's not the truth. So I'm like, I just want to avoid this Sean guy. He met you in Vegas. And then I started watching your stuff and I'm like, damn it, these guys are really, really good. Maverick, I call him Maverick. McCoy was, when COVID hit, we were making everything in Portland. I had a 24,000 square foot building and we were hiring everybody in Portland to hand make everything there in Portland. And a month later, we're out of business. We don't have any products, right? Like, what are we going to do? And he said, books will be written about people who got afraid and people who excel. And I put on double masks, couldn't even fly into Leon. I flew into Guadalajara, had somebody pick me up, come over here. And I got this guy, gave him $10,000. And he said, give me a place to plug in some machines and I will make your stuff for you. And it just so happened that all the best artisans, there's over 600 shoe factories in Leon, Mexico. They all been laid off. So we just chose 1,000 square meters, 10,000 square foot. We've got pictures of it with like 5 little machines over in the corner and started up and went from 1,000 square meters to 2,000 to 4,000 to 8,000. And now around the world, where we use up somewhere around 700,000 square foot. And that's all happened since COVID. So this factory behind me these are the best artisans in the world in leather. They're absolutely fantastic. It didn't exist 3.5 months ago. We were spread out in this city in all these little small locations. And so this is just a small part of what continues on the other side. This is just some of the stitching lines. This isn't really what you see behind us. Is not all what we have going on.
Do you look at yourself more as a like a manufacturer than you do as a brand?
No.
Like that is an operation, dude. Like most brands would puke if they had to.
Well, man, I'm a little crazy. I'm a little bit crazy. And so I need a huge project every 3 months or 6 months. And so I'm a marketing guy. We set this up and we say, we are a marketing company. We're going to figure out what sells, what we're going to do. And that's what we do. So I control in the offices next to me. I have all the design. I have all the samples. I have all the logistics. I have everything is in this big building that I have. I created this offices here for me. Plus we have 80 people in Portland. I'm a marketing thing, but we found out that if you want to market perfectly, create the perfect marketing plan, you got to have the exact right product at the exact right time. Those algorithms are tricky. And if you start running out of things, Google does not know if you just ran out of that particular product. They just think, oh, you're ad fatigue. We have some of our ads have been running for 3 straight years and they're still killing it, right? You better not run out of that particular leather, that SKU, all the peripherals, all the other things that work. So we're a marketing company. We have a 22-person marketing team. It's run by McCoy Merkley. He's the best there is out there in the world right now. He kills it. Guy is brilliant. And he's like, Curtis, just go make sure I have all the product at the right time. And so I started spending more time down here and more and more and more. And now we got it.
You're a man after my own heart, man. Everything you're saying is things I say all the time. So yeah, Maverick was right. We would get along. Let's talk about the business. So the high level strokes are: I know you're a 9-figure, mostly e-com seller, but I want to hear the actual like heart of the company, right? I know you guys do bags. You guys do a bunch of great leather stuff. How'd you get into it? What's the passion behind leather?
There was no passion behind leather. There was passion. And I don't believe that people like, I have a passion for this. When you do something, you get good at it and you work with great people, you get more and more passion, you get more emotional. My girlfriend had a bad job and I said, quit your job. And she said, what will I do? And I said, I'll start up a company and we'll make $100 million. She said, bullshit. All you do is do yoga. You don't even work. And I'm like, no, I'm an internet marketing genius. You don't know that because we just met and all you've ever seen me is be lazy, right? And she literally quit her job. And she said, what are we going to sell? And I said, this little leather journal. This is back in 2015, 16. And she goes, oh, I'm in trouble. I'm an idiot, right? And we literally started at art festivals. And we went from 10,000 to 20,000 to 30 to $40,000 weekends. Went on to Etsy in 2016, 17, and became a top 10 all-time seller at the time within about a year. And then we moved off of that onto Shopify. And as I always tell people, we had 2017, we had one Black Friday order on Shopify. And then this last year, we had one every 3 seconds. And so we just build really, really fast. So Matt, you asked like, who am I and where's the heart? What is some of this thing? It's just like, you have to change your company every single year, right? We went from this and we were making everything. We were hiring Reed College liberal arts graduates in Portland whose mother used to have a sewing machine to come over and we'd teach them how to hand make something, right? Well, now we're a little bit different company, but we're able to do things better quality, better leather, better prices, better efficiency, and everything. So we've had to build that up over time. The reason that I'm down here with our manufacturing is I don't actually run this. We have amazing people that do. But I'm working with marketing every day to come up with where the designs are. Where's the next thing? I have next year's plans. I have tables outside of over 30 new designs that we have, all for the next 10 months already laid out. And the marketing team has analyzed each one, determined, is this a hero product? Is this an ad set? Are we going to be doing video ads? Or do we, what type of ads are we doing? What type of stock do we need? What type of refill? So we're working all of that stuff. It's just a big game and it's a lot of fun.
I have so many questions. So what's the channel mix today? So Sean hit on like mostly D2C. Do you start at Etsy and basically like
we jumped off of that?
Like you're a fair seller.
We're just like, a Shopify seller.
We'll
do 90% of all of our sales in the US direct to consumer online. It's all through our website, Portland Leather and PortlandLeatherGoods.com. That's everything. It just gets killed. We set up a store on a bet, another bet that I basically had with somebody. I asked my people, do you want to set up a company to do a new product? Like, let's do this. Or do you want to have a retail store? And they're all like, a retail store? I'm like, guys, that's stupid. I don't want a retail store. We set one up. It killed it in Portland, just a little teeny store. So we put a factory outlet store in Portland, just in on my building in the basement. You have to like go through bad neighborhoods and try to find this thing. And it's going to do $5 million this year. People line up around the block before.
That was one of the things I wanted to ask you. Like, how much of because the brand's, the name Portland is in the brand. How do you way over index in Portland and Oregon from like a percentage of sales, like on a per capita
Only
basis?
because we've been there a long time. I
Yeah.
truly believe that. It's only because we've been there a long time, and Maverick always says the best marketing we have is our product in someone's hand, right? Like they just like, wait, this is real leather. It smells like leather. It feels after a year, it looks better. No, the day after you leave, the store, it looks worse. And so, yes, they do really, really well in Portland. That's just because we set up the stores and people have been buying them for years and years and years. But yeah, number 2 is Seattle. Number 3 is Dallas, Texas. Number 4 is Chicago. Number 5, of course,
Wow.
is. But we're all over the country.
What
Every
would you so I know you say you're a marketer, but when you man, your product catalog is what blew me away. It's like the variety of stuff that you make is nuts. Right? So what I want to know is when you guys look at product, do you actually start with like this is the product? Somebody comes in and says like I think we should make a product that looks like this. This is like the thing. Or do you start with like there's a market for it?
It's always a market. I'm a marketing guy, right? So
Yeah.
you're so guys. Again, I have to tell the story before I answer that question, Matt. I was at the Commerce Roundtable in San Diego, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's the Operators Podcast." I'm with 10 guys, and I said, "Who the fuck is the Operators Podcast?" And they're like, "Curtis, you really are a loser. Like everybody knows these guys, right?" Sean wasn't there, but I went in. I'm like, these guys are okay. They're fine. And then I went on and I watched, and it's the conversations truly that you have of what you get when you get 9 figures and you're working toward that 10 figure and you're running the company and you're making these decisions. I led this company poorly every year of its existence by saying, do you like this product? Right? Which means nothing if people like it. Is there a market? Is it a hero product? A hero product is something I can spend $5,000 to $8,000 a day on advertising. Otherwise, it's not. It's just going to sell to some of the people that come into my existing products. We seek for a 50-50 blend on our website, right? 50% return customers, 50% new customers. We always are somewhere between 46, 54, 48, 52, and 50, 50. If you go at the end of the month, Maverick has kind of guided that to be right at that 50, 50, right? So that hero product is seeking new customers who are going to be coming and buying. So when I look at 30, 40, 50 different designs, I'm looking for the hero product. What can we do ad sets on? What is going to bring new customers into the mix? You've got to have that. I look at some and say, yeah, we can make 5,000 of these bags. They'll all sell. 95% are going to be our return customers. They're going to be in fun colors. They'll sell out in a month. It'll be nice and we'll make a little bit of money, but it's not the growth of the company. It's just easy money to bring in because you're selling to them. So we have a lot of SKUs. And the reason we have a lot of SKUs is last year we made 144 different leather colors because the people are craving that. Our return customers want something new, something fresh. But I always put marketing in the mix when we're designing something.
Curtis, that's the exact way we think about it. So we,
Yep.
we call it CAC products and LTV products. And if anyone's listening to this, the one thing they can do to actually grow their brand is make new products that new people want to buy, right? Because like you said, you can make cool bag colors. That's how most brands get stuck because that's what their customers want. And they never ask what the next new customer wants, right? How do you get the next person in the door? So that was rings for us. That's luggage for us. Like we're launching a big like tech package. Like those are things just to get net new eyeballs in that I can't sell them wallets, right? I'm going to sell enough fucking wallets to pay for all my lights, all my bills, whatever else, but it's not going to grow the brand forward at a meaningful clip. So that's probably the most impactful tip to people to get away from this. Also, dude, you're a badass. You're doing the hard thing. Like most
Yeah,
people
man.
just go on Alibaba, type in leather backpack, and then order one. You're like, no, we're actually gonna be on the cutting edge of this.
It's a
Go ahead.
personality flaw, Sean. It really is a personality flaw that I've been able to excel because of that. When I wanted to sell leather goods, my girlfriend said, just go on to Alibaba and buy some from China. And I tried to look at that. I'm like, this stuff's crap. And she said, you're right. You would never be happy selling something that you didn't love. Right. So I spent the first months in my garage, not one of those fancy 2-car garages, a 1-stall garage, sitting there putting together leather goods and figuring out how to hand make them and how to do all of this myself, because that's literally what I love. So I wanted it to be great. I didn't want to do it. And then as we've tried to hire people to do new things, I find out I don't like how they do it. I tried to find people to manufacture our goods, and I'd go in and I didn't like how they're doing it. So I created my own manufacturing. I would go.
There is like an element to this though that is making your company like that's actually there's a pretty significant moat in your supply chain. Like you gotta say, man, it's yeah, it sounds a little crazy, but my guess is that your inventory position on any SKU relative to competitors is pretty low. Like you can stay in stock because you own the damn supply chain and you can
First
move
of
things
all,
around.
I can stay in stock. Number two is I can do things faster. I
Yeah.
could literally come up with have an idea, have the samples made, the photo shot, have it in our 3PL in Dallas, Texas in 5 weeks. If I'm ordering it from the China, Cambodia, the Philippines, or India, I'm hoping that the amount that I ordered is going to sell in 5 to 6 months when that freaking boat
Right.
arrives, right? If an ad really takes off, you know that if you're selling, okay, we're going to sell 1,000 of these a month. Oh no, we're going to sell 4,000 of these a month. Oh no, we're going to sell 10,000 of these a month. Those numbers are staggeringly different in manufacturing and filling that ad back up. So I can tweak that so we never have to take that ad down. We can literally push that manufacturing through and get it up there. Maybe delay by a few days when that's going to be shipped out so that we can keep those algorithms hopped up. Yeah, I've created a moat just out of stupidity of me not wanting someone else to do it and me trying to be controlling, because I'm not a manufacturing guy. I'm a full system guy. We actually buy the best leather hides in the world, and we buy the trucks in the United States from the best hides that they can have them brought to the tanneries so that they can make the right leather. We pick it up at their door and follow it through the entire process until it's customer service and returns, and we're doing it all. Yeah.
It's wild, man. It's Sean has talked about this too, that like his luggage, he just mentioned his luggage business. But like one of the things that like it came out of the gate and just crushed for Ridge. Like it's the perfect category for Ridge. But then supply chain was the thing holding them back. Like getting more freaking product, like making more of the bag was the actual issue in scaling that category up.
The thing that shocked me is I know I make something difficult. I have teams right now in Brazil working with the best tanneries in Brazil to make sure we don't run out of the right leather. And I mean, it's a pain in the ass. I didn't want to have 1,000 people making my stuff, right? I didn't want to do that. I'm a marketing guy. But it's kind of cool when you realize what the other side of that is and how you can be screwed. I was at the Commerce Roundtable in San Diego, and I was talking to a T-shirt guy that you know, of course, who runs a very famous men's T-shirt brand. And he was saying, I was like, well, I make really hard stuff. I've got to get natural product, real leather hides, tanned perfectly. It can take 4 months. And when they're delivered, you can have 100,000 that's wrong, right? That's horrible. And he was saying for every T-shirt and every product he has like 5 backup factories that he has to have because 1, 2, and 3 are going to fail him. That's a T-shirt, man. That is like the easiest thing you're ever going to make, and there's problems. We've had manufacturers from around the world come in and they're like, we can make your product. And I'm like, some of these lines that I have right here are making the same product every day, all year next year, right? You can't get more efficient than that. So by the time I pay a tariff by going to the Philippines or Cambodia, by the time I pay the slowness on the boat, by the time I pay for their profit and their inefficiencies in getting it up and running, I'm better off just doing it myself.
Yeah, they'll also choose lower quality leather. And going back to what your moat actually is, it is the fact that because you own the manufacturing, you can have a bunch of fucking SKUs on your website in a bunch of colors, right? Like there's so many hero products on your website, like you were saying. And if you had to order each one of these from a different factory in China or whatever else, it'll never get done, right?
We absolutely use Northbeam, and me specifically, every day. I'm constantly in there building out reports. And I remember when we brought it on a couple years ago and I got to meet Austin, who is the founder, and he is fabulous. And he was selling me on the idea of, not using in platform and really using a separate platform as like our source of truth, which is what we needed. And I mean, it has been a deal breaker for us. It's helped us scale in areas and on platforms that we didn't even, weren't getting a good read on. And it's helped us optimize for our channels that we really had a lot of high spend on. And their team is great. My favorite part is taking the calls with them where they, dive deep into the insights, and they've always got really great information for us. So yeah, I love Northbeam. We wouldn't be where we are at today without them.
Now, what's the end goal, Curtis? Because you're really pot committed at this point, right? Like you're making and selling everything, right? Like no one wants to jump in on this. It's such a large scale operation. So are you doing this the next 50 years, or what's the goal here?
Well, the great news is I'm a little bit crazy and incredibly obsessive. And I just love exactly what I'm doing. So about 3 years ago, we got a pretty big, even when we were just very small, we got a really large offer for our company. One of those, like, you can't turn it down type of offers. And then I watched a basketball game that night and my team lost. And I was so upset. And my girlfriend said, if you retire, what are you going to do? Like you have no control of anything. You'll just watch football and get upset. You'll be upset all the time because you're in control of everything, right? And I'm like, okay, so I turned down this offer, and then we just took off. Like we're growing. What is the plan? Our plan is we're opening up 10 new stores, retail stores next year. We'll be opening up 20 in 2026. Our retail stores are literally just absolutely destroying it. And so we've hired some of the best people in the world. And the reasoning for that is I would people pay for billboards. I'm going to basically have 30 new billboards that people can walk in and buy our product and make a bunch of money. And I couldn't believe it. At the end of last year, when we did the math, and I said, how much did our stores make? And they told me how much they made, how much profit. I'm like, that's impossible. This shows you how dumb I can be sometimes. I'm like, no way did it make that much money, because the D2C is so easy. And they're like, well, wait a second. You have no shipping cost. You don't have to ship it to them. Oh, well, okay, you don't have it shipped. You don't have any marketing costs. We don't market our stores. Oh, yeah, we don't have any marketing. And all of a sudden your margins are 30, 40% on the stores. And you're like, okay, that's a lot better than the online. And yeah, it's a new industry, but I believe that they'll work together. Our people,
you'll have leverage. There's no question.
Yeah. And we can supply the stores. We can supply it because we're working with this. And I really don't call this manufacturing. We're still makers. We're still artisans. Like I still walk out, and the people that we have are the same people I hired day one. And we follow this from the leather to the difference that we have to deal with that most people don't have to is it has to go through 50 hands to make a product. Every leather has to be taken a look at. Then it has to be looked at the necks. It has to go through this because every hide is completely different. There's a million judgments you need to make. So what's the overall plan is the question you had, Sean. I'm going to run this thing like fun for the next 3 to 5 years. This is as much fun as someone could hope to have. And I started this in a garage, and I love it. And I love the people I work with every day. So why would I not want to continue to do this?
Yeah, look, let's talk about some amazing thing about your business. I think you're definitely a contender to be a 10-figure operator pretty soon. It looks like you can get that scale. I'm looking at your phone cases, 14 Pro Max, you get it for $22. It's just so competitive of price for real leather. Like nobody else can do that. I'm buying real leather phone cases in China for 14 bucks a pop or whatever. So like there's no way I'm going to sell this for $22. So I think because you own and control the supply chain, you can just deliver such great value. And like if I was a customer, I'd probably buy from you. You know what I mean?
And it comes again from my weaknesses as a human being. When I started doing art festivals, I hated when people would walk into my booth and say, I love this product, and walk out and not buy, right? I'm like, oh, why didn't they buy? It would hurt my feelings. So I kept lowering our price down to the point where everyone felt like they could buy. And I'm like, well, it's just my work that's going into this. Our prices, people cannot go at our prices for the quality that we have because they don't own this. We follow, as I told you, we buy the hides. We follow the best hides all over the world and go to their factories or the tanneries, wherever they are in the world, and say, you buy the best hides, can you make for us? And what they're telling us right now is, of all the major leather bag companies out there, there's no one between us and people who are doing 2 billion, right? All the ones you know are at that 1 or 2
Yeah.
billion mark. There's no one just drifted in that 4 or 500 million. They're just not there, right? They just disappear. And they also said everybody's going down other than Tory Burch. Tory Burch is doing great, but they're like, everybody in the world right now wants to work with us, from the chemical suppliers to the hide suppliers to the tanneries to the hardware. We've had all the hardware. The best compliment I ever got was 3 years ago, where someone said, I've never seen this since Coach in the 90s. I've never seen a growth trajectory like you guys are doing.
Wow.
And like, how the hell do you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. We're marketing people. We sell. And I need to say something else. We love our customers. It started at those festivals where you're dealing people face to face, and I'm a people person. I literally love the joy of when they open it up and they're shocked as hell at the quality of something that they get. So when I say I'm not a manufacturer, I know this is my background, I'm really not. We are marketing, we are people person, and we still feel like we're artisans.
Sean, it's like this is like a 10-10 difficulty business to build, which I think there's something to be said, Curtis, that like that's probably why you have a chance at getting so damn big. Like, it's a very important part of it, is like the number of things that you have to execute on really well. Like, if you look at it, like all of the things, right, that make your company work, that's a 10-10 level difficulty, man. It's like doing brand building on God mode.
Dude, well, Maverick's right. They're gonna write a book about it, right? During
For
COVID,
sure.
getting this done. Because look, I'm looking at the heart pouch right now, and I know about stitching, I know about hardware, and if you got this heart pouch made in China, you're looking at probably $12 worth of materials and the zipper alone. Zippers are so expensive.
Yeah,
Zippers are
crazy. Yeah.
yeah. And you're selling it for $21. And I'm like, yeah, there's no way someone will compete with you. The reason you can do that, and you can do it in fun colors, you got it in 12 different colors on your website right now. The reason why you can do that is because you've built a supply chain to be able to deliver the highest quality to the lowest quality, at the highest quality good, lowest price. And that is 10 out of 10 difficulty, right? And you bring up Coach, right? Coach will do 6 billion in leather sales this year, right? $1 billion of that's men's, 5 billion of that's women's. And I always bring up that I'd never meet anyone who's excited about buying Coach products. I think women's handbags are a little bit different. They have like 3 or 4 iconic women's handbags, but they are going to cost 15 times what you're going to cost. You know what I mean? Like, or at least 10 times what you're going to cost. So I think a lot of people will opt into yours because you can still have iconic designs and probably higher quality than what Coach is pushing out right
Yeah,
now.
especially the leather. The leather is, I visited 21 tanneries in Italy, and we showed them our leather and said, can you make this? And they're like, we stopped making good leather products 20 years ago. We love this.
Wow.
But everybody's moved into what they do now, where it's so covered, every bag looks exactly like every other bag, right? It's just one of those things they've done. So, Matt, something that you meant on 10 out of 10 on difficulty, the reason that we did that is because I always did this as I went to school for a long time. I got like 9 college degrees. So I look at everything in semesters, right? It's from September 1st until Christmas. It's Christmas until, the summer. And then you have 3 months in your summer. I always look at the world like that. So I always figured, what are we going to do in the next 4 to 5 months? If I had thought, what are we going to do in 2 to 3 years? What are all the steps we have to do? That's scary as shit. I never would have done any of this. I could see the next 2 moves, maybe 3, but I could not see this far ahead. Because in 2017, 18, 19, I was doing the construction work in our building that we bought because I didn't want to pay someone to do it. I'm knocking down walls. I'm scraping floors. I'm painting things. I'm in every single interview. I'm doing every design. I'm reviewing every marketing piece, right? That's crazy. And when you look back on it, when people say, could you do this again? I'm like, I would never do this again knowing how hard it was. But because I didn't know how hard it was, I was willing to do all of those steps. And
Curtis,
yeah,
let's.
go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to ask you the importance of Leon, Mexico, because I think the audience needs to understand that,
Yeah.
like, it's like going to Napa for wine. It's like that's where the people who like the actual artisans actually live. There's a huge cowboy culture. There's a huge leather culture. All of the best cowboy boots on earth are made in Leon, Mexico. So there's a reason why to go there and do that work. So was that a random discovery, or you were already doing business with vendors there? How did you end up getting on a plane and going there?
Sean, everything in my world works off of magic. I don't want to tell you that I truly am a wizard and I deal off of magic. One of the young ladies we hired was a sorority girl at Auburn University, and her roommate married a guy from Leon, Mexico. And she says, I think I can call them up and see if they can get a hold of somebody. And we started to come down here when the US couldn't provide us enough leather. And we came down, and I remember the day I arrived here. I said, why do you live in Leon, Mexico? And they said, quality of life. And I said, that's so dumb. Why would anyone want to live in an industrial city in Mexico? That's just stupid. And well, because it's awesome and the people are fantastic. So I met on a fluke. And then once you are in that leather group, then you all of a sudden know people from all around the world. Because now I know all the tanneries. I know all the tanneries in Brazil. I know all the tanneries in China. I know the Italy. I know the major producers. They know us. They fly in twice a week. Somebody from around the world is flying in trying to get our business and walking in here trying to sell me something, right? And they flew here to Leon just to meet us. So it was a fluke. And then we looked into it. We looked a little farther and a little farther. Sean, I remember at an art festival, this one guy, I had found 2 hides that I made like 8 bags out of it was really beautiful. And there's this very fancy guy. He looked like he was like a investment banker. And I pointed out, I'm like, that's a really great leather. Oh, you're going to love that. I'm like, I can't get that leather anymore. And he scoffed at me. He's like, yeah, leather's so hard to buy. And in my small-minded thing, buying from a little leather store in Portland, Oregon, I was thinking, yes, this is really hard. Now I realize, yes, there is hides all around the world. There are tanneries. The production is out there. And production of leather is low. So I can actually get my raw materials cheaper now, right? Because all the tanneries are going out of business because everyone wants to work in synthetics. Synthetics are easy. You put it in a machine. The machine can cut the entire piece. You have no waste of materials. Your product cost is right on. You never have variabilities in that thing. So what we do is just because we're stupid enough to do it. Like, this is not easy.
Let's talk about vegan leather, right? Because that's the biggest psyop,
Oh my God.
available now. It's just oil.
It's plastic.
It's plastic.
It's plastic. My pride thing is one of the biggest vegan leather people out there is Stella McCartney. Yeah. And she lost $10 million last year, and we did 3 times more in sales than her. And we sure didn't lose $10 million. So yeah, it's people talk about it. That's totally beta thinking. They're just like, oh yeah, the first thing that comes to their mind when you talk leather is vegan leather. No one actually buys it. I don't believe in it at all.
Well, yeah, the whole thing is it's not more sustainable. With leather,
No.
you get meat out of killing the cow. You know what I mean? Like, you can use regenerative farming, all this type of stuff.
What people don't know is right now Brazil has 20 million hides that they're throwing into landfills because they have no use for it.
Wow.
So we're the ultimate recycler in the world, but we won't get credit for that because it's not a quick, easy story to say. And I don't go into those stories. I feel that in marketing, you can only tell people 1 or 2 things. And I don't want to go into a long story and have our conversation be about recycling and sustainability and all of those catchwords that everybody has to do when you're trying to sell a new product. Our marketing is, our shit is really, really good. Once you get it, you fall in love with the stuff, and the cost is so crazy. You can buy 30 of our bags for the cost of 1 of somebody else's.
Yeah. There's almost no reason to buy a Chanel bag, right? Like, the leather is coming from the same factories, and the Chanel bags are $5,000. Dude, also let's talk about, people fucking up marketing. We did 6 figures in phone cases the first month we launched them, right? And it's because we just do leather phone cases and Apple stopped doing leather phone cases. So all of our reviews are people being like, "Yeah, this is better than the Apple case. The Apple case sucks." And like there's just a massive opportunity to be a real leather brand right now. So I'm glad you're leaning into it. Uh and
You
I think
know,
this is go ahead, Curtis.
no. I was out at a Mexican restaurant in the United States a few years ago, and this guy that we used to know came up and was talking to my girlfriend, and he was showing him his wallet. And he walked up, and I'm like, "Why is he showing you his wallet?" She goes, "Well, you own a leather company, dummy." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I think I own a marketing company." It never occurred to me he was showing it because of the leather, right? I just wasn't paying attention. We truly are a marketing company. Marketing first. We were at an event one time and somebody asked Maverick, like, "How do you do this?" And he says, "I get to talk to the guy who owns it, does the design and all the manufacturing 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. He gets to tell me exactly what he wants to fill that spot right now. I need more of this. I need this. We're showing what we are. Here's our return customers. Here's this." He runs all the numbers and says, "How do we plug that hole?" What some people do is they make a product and they hand it to marketing and said, "Sell this shit."
Yeah.
Good luck. If you're really good at marketing, you'll figure out how to
Product and
sell.
marketing are like one org
Oh
in
my
most,
gosh.
in like a
In
good
our
modern brand. They're one org.
they should be and they can be.
Yeah.
It's not common that they are. And so with all of you guys, and I'm going to tell you, I've watched your podcast and I really enjoy it because you get to talk about those things that I don't get to talk to everybody about. Like I don't get to tell all my employees my real thoughts
No,
because
it's usually not a good idea.
no, very, very much not a good idea. I have a personal assistant who that poor girl just has to take it all. I just talk to her all the time. And so I don't take it out on everybody else. And you guys talk about how you build this up and what it's like to truly run that, 100, 200, $300 billion company. And it's a different beast. I mean, I thought we had it figured out at 10 million. I thought we had it figured out at 30. And I thought we had it figured out at 64. And we're just starting. Like we literally slowed down this year because what you see behind me, and this is very important, did not exist 3.5 months ago. I built this. We used to be in 25 locations around the city. And this is just part of it. This is not even half of it. This is a small percentage of what we have. And we put it all in the same building so that we can control everything. So not only to me, I visualize it almost like a video game. I sit up here and I look and I can see where things are in the process, what's being made, how it is. We have screens up at the end of everything that I can see by color. If the numbers that we're doing, I can pull up on my MacBook exactly where everything is in the entire process. I know what it's going to hit our 3PL. I know where the sampling is. I know where the photography is. I know if the video ads are being made. It's just starting to hit the point that we're getting good. And now it's being patient enough not to screw it up while we run it out for the next year to two. Because being me, I want to go tinker with it and break something. I want to change something. And right now I'm just being told to stay at it. Matt, you do your own manufacturing up there in British Columbia. Is that correct?
We do, and it's for the same reasons you do. It's speed. It's straight up like we want to be able to respond to culture and trends when they're happening. And I don't want to wait for Asia. Like I don't want to wait for that supply chain to work. SKU variety is also a big issue. Like Sean just got into phone cases. The first thing I texted him was like, "Welcome to the inventory shit show." Right? It's like Apple and Samsung and Google are going to make your life a living hell every year with phone models.
Yeah.
And our competitive advantage is like we have 59 active phone models right now, tools, like pieces of steel. And we had to build, like our facility is built to be moving these freaking pieces of steel around constantly so that we can make inventory on demand for what people are looking for. It was like most of our industry is just focused on iPhone 16, maybe iPhone 15, maybe the 14, and then that's it. Yeah. Then they're out.
Yeah, I'm just doing iPhone 16.
Yeah, because it's a fucking nightmare, man. So like owning your own manufacturing it's honestly like one of the things I wanted to ask you, because I want to know what's scary to you now. right? Because like what you're talking about, like I can tell you, most people listening to this do not go anywhere near what you're doing on the actual physical, like how we make things. What, like when you're running, I'm looking at this factory behind you, like when you're running this kind of operation, what's terrifying? Like what would you like to change that keeps you up at night? Anything anymore? You know?
Gosh, it's still the basketball and football games. I mean, literally, that's what most of the kids do the highest. No, it's for us. It's the raw materials. It's having the right leather at the right time. If I have, my plan next year is we'll have 2.5 million square feet in our warehouses, what we call Studio 8 down the way. It's connected up at all times. Because if I can pull the right leather into inspection, into cutting, into matching, and into stitching at all times, then I can have what I need when I want. When there's a block up from the raw material side, you overproduce something because you have nothing else to make because you need to keep the lines busy, right? So that is one worry, but I think we've got that settled. We're big enough and good enough, and we've negotiated enough, and we've got it down. And I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to be honest with you. My biggest worry right now is what do I do to keep myself busy next year when everything's working? Because I'm used to 12 hours of being my hands in every single aspect of this. Now I have a senior leadership team, 7 people, and we've really worked at getting them, and they're all great. I feel so confident that every one of them does what they do better than I do it. I still have that overconfidence, but when I talk to Maverick every day, when I talk to Marcia every day, when I talk to Adriana every day, they're just like, I'm like, what about that? And they already got it.
Yeah.
They're like, Curtis, you do this enough. Give us a few more days. We're killing it. I don't have a lot of worries. I did until we moved in here. I did. Now it's all coming together. Now it's just running it out.
The stores are going to keep you very busy. Doing 10 stores and then doing 20 stores after. I mean,
I don't think so. We did something that we've never done before. Everybody that works for me, like Maverick started with me at $12 an hour. He was a photographer before I hired him and trained him up, right? Like the dude walked in, I want to work 20 hours a week for $12 an hour, right? And I hired the guy. And then now he is who he is because, as he said, Curtis lets me work with $30-40 million of his money every single year, and I get to learn how to do this well, right? Which is amazing to have a person who can do that well. I put an ad out for the head of retail and put a bunch of money behind it, and I was shocked at the quality of people that we have. Now in D2C, we're really talking to the industry. Yes, I wrote one of the world's first internet marketing books back in 96, 97. So it's been around. The current state of e-commerce has been around for about 4 to 5 years, maybe 8 if you really think about it. So if someone's got a lot of experience, they have 3 to 8 years of experience top. Retail people have been doing this model for 50 years. The woman who came in said, I have personally opened up over 500 stores. I'm like, yeah. What were these little stores? Well, that was in jewelry. What did your average jewelry store bring in? $8 million. And I'm like, oh, she's like, I ran 300 of like Zales and K and this. She has a network that builds them, designs them, runs them, does this. And every time I try to get involved in it, she very calmly says, Curtis, thank you so much for your advice. And then she shows me how she's already got it taken care of.
I got 2 words for you. You're not going to like them.
Yes. And I mean, I love her. She is so sweet and she is so talented. But our top 5 potential people that I got to interview to hire, I would have hired them all. And then I realized, well, retail is kind of it's a little more of a given. They can have 20 or 30 years experience in what they're doing, where it's not the same in e-com. So when you figure out e-com, I don't see it as the hard thing. The hard thing at the store, Sean, is going to be the logistics of getting everything exactly there at the right time. What do they have for storage, and how can you turn the inventory into what people are looking for in person compared to online? Because if I want
every market's super local now, right? Like that's the hard part. The hard part is that especially in your business, the product mix per store is going to be different if you're going to do it at a high level.
We've already found that out. And shockingly, it's already happening. But it's 4 meetings a week for me is all. right now on
Yeah.
retail, and that's nothing for my day. I drink a lot of coffee,
Well, dude,
so
I'm looking forward to the store openings and like the design conversations.
All right, let's take a quick break and we're going to thank our sponsor, Postscript. Okay, here's what I want to talk about. There's been this trend in e-commerce where we're trying to get to like all-in-one solutions. So like SMS, email, everything's in one place. And I think there's a bunch of weird arguments for this. I think this is all BS. Like, I would rather have a solution that is like point built and is great for that one thing. This is why I like Postscript. This is why we use Postscript. They do SMS, they do it really freaking well. Right. And I hate to tell you, I say I told you so, but a lot of brands have gone to like the all in one thing to try to integrate email and SMS, and they've just moved back. And they do it for a bunch of reasons. Oh, it's easier for attribution. It's easier on my marketing team to log into one place. I think that's all BS. Look, the reason we like Postscript is all they think about, they eat and breathe SMS, which means my team is constantly getting access to new features before anybody else. They're actually consulting with us and helping us get better at SMS. I think this like, email and SMS need to be integrated to make SMS more effective is a lie. The reality is most of us aren't sending enough email and most of us aren't sending enough SMS. So trying to like trigger one off the other is likely just a waste of time. And I don't know too many brands personally who can tell me straight faced that this has been a big benefit to them. So in my view and my experience, like the reason we like having Postscript as a sponsor is because we use it and it works really well. And the team is great. Their support's awesome. Their pricing is awesome. So that's my shout out to Postscript. It's wicked to have them as a sponsor for the pod. Let's get back to the show.
Curtis, I want to go back to being a marketing first org. I've often described Ridge in the same way, right? My background is marketing, and that's really, I think, the biggest unfair advantage. Us in True Classic, and I think yourself, you think about like how can we invest more money in marketing because that is the megaphone. We are an attention economy. So let's get a little tactical about marketing,
sure,
right?
let's do it.
What are you excited about with marketing right now? Like, what is the alpha? Like, where do you think you are outperforming everybody else on the marketing front?
I'm gonna tell you that we're still doing a lot of static ads. We spend 94% of our money on Google and Meta, and we see no cap to what we can capture with the right product. The problem is when something spikes of running out of that product too quickly, which we're not going to do next year. We're literally have just bulked up any type of hero ads with way ahead. We don't need to chase every single little thing that's out there because we don't need it. It's what Maverick keeps coming back and saying, you don't need it. Just get me more product, keep it in stock, and let me run this. Our acquisition costs are down. Our retention is higher. Our lifetime value is skyrocketing. Stop screwing around the edges. Don't tell me I need to be on TikTok. Stop talking to me about all these other things. Let's see what the mix of the stores do where we are. We are going to triple our EBITDA from last year next year, and we will have scaled up immensely in that time because we literally cut out the bad stuff. And I realized that our cost of goods was the biggest inefficiency that we had. So you literally I took care of the cost of goods. On the tactical marketing, we have an ability right now, Sean, that may not be for men's wallets, or some of the other things, but people who buy our product get obsessive and they buy 10 and 20 and 30 different bags. So how do you get them to buy that first one? How do you get that customer acquisition cost to be profitable? And then how can you fill the fun things into that 50% we're buying again and again? And
it's the joy of being in a large TAM category, right?
Well, also,
it's
dude,
huge.
it's like,
And I used to think we had to go wider, and we don't. That was the mistake.
Not when you've got that big of a category.
We do not need to. We do not need to.
well, dude, women's handbags are a trope in media for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Women do buy and collect handbags. It is so true, and that's why you're like, yeah, like all of the greatest fashion houses are led by a strong women's handbag division, right? LVMH, Gucci, Chanel. everyone we've talked about, that's like the flagship product because women buy them and they buy a lot of them and they collect them. So yeah, that's the secret sauce, man. Not a, and here's the thing: there's very few D2C women's handbag companies, right? Like
Yeah.
most people stay out because it's too difficult. You found a wedge and a way in where, yeah, I could totally see my wife buying literally 20 of these a year, and then storage is the issue. Like we got to start getting rid of them.
Well, we'll make $1 million off secondary market this year. We'll make literally $1 million off secondary market, which is fantastic.
So people reselling your product like
yeah,
through you?
we get the cut on it. Yeah. So I will
How does
bring
that
an
work? So is that like did you stand up a peer-to-peer marketplace where people can
We use something called Treat. And my people looked into it and said, we're going to do this. And I'm like, I do not believe in this. I do not sign off on this. They did it anyhow. And it just literally kills it. Just literally kills it. It also, I'm going to tell you this, I think it works on the buyer's mindset too. If I don't love it and I use it for a little while, I can always sell it on the secondary market. So it gives them that extra out in purchasing something.
do you
And
market
we just set
that?
it up like 7-8 months ago, but it's staggering what that particular one is doing. And again,
Dude, it's awesome.
It wasn't me. I was against it. I was 100% against it.
I've not heard that yet. Like I don't think we've had actually somebody on the pod yet, or Sean, I don't even think I've seen it in a chat that we're in where people think about secondary markets for their products, and like most people just like, yeah, that shit's gonna happen on eBay.
There's a law in California that by 2027 you have to have a secondary, like a way to buy or sell used products. So there's like a couple startups who are doing it.
Wow.
I know Steven from Cuts ended up doing it, but I've never heard of anyone actually singing its praises. So Curtis, you just got
No.
a plug in here for the first time. We'll check out. It's called Tree.
Treat. Yeah, I think it's 2 E's. And again, I was completely against it, and it's absolutely killing it. But I did want to mention something from earlier about you mentioned the moat map that I have, and Sean, you mentioned the having your own manufacturing. You could not find me on the internet a year ago. If you typed in my name, there was zero. Like I'm a big personality, but I'm bad in life. I do nothing online, right? And I was at some awards that we won at a place called the Whaleys in Austin a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
And I met some people. My people won some awards, so I talked for 5 minutes and got up. And I met some amazing people. One of my best friends, a guy named Adam Robinson, was just starting up this little LinkedIn thing, selling things. I said, yeah, go for it. See if you can actually make a name for yourself. Good luck, buddy. And a guy came up to me about a month ago and said, I want to thank you for what you did about manufacturing. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I only know it because you had him as a guest. His name was Isaac, and he has a candy company.
Oh yeah.
He said that I met him there and said, dude, if you're going to do a business, own your own manufacturing. I don't even remember saying it. And I told him about what we're doing, and he set up his own manufacturing and is killing it, literally killing it.
Curtis, I think that I agree with you for for many categories, but that would be considered really bad advice in
Yes.
modern D2C.
That's why I'm shocked I said it.
Circle. That's super contrarian. If you met somebody at any of these events and the first thing out of your mouth was you should build your own manufacturing, most of them would probably they want to stab you.
Create an idea, an unproven idea, and then create a manufacturing behind it and throw all your money in there and hope it works out. Of course, that's just terrible advice. But I did it out of necessity in our area. We had to. And to get the quality we wanted, we had to do it. And now that we have it, I sure am glad that we have it. I really, really am. And, I was a friend of mine, Ruben, called me into his office years ago. And he's the one who took Tecovas and started manufacturing Tecovas, which is a great, great brand right now. And he said, this guy came into me a couple of years ago, knew nothing, said, I want to sell online, but I don't know anything about manufacturing. And Ruben literally sent him across the street to somebody else and says, you're not good enough for me, right? A year later, he comes back and says, hey, we're actually selling some of these. Do you want me now? And he took Tecovas. He said, Curtis, with your marketing, I think you could really hit the shoe business. And I set up a shoe company called patina.com. And we sold 439,000 pair in a year and a half.
Wow.
And I shut it down. Because first of all, I had to work with 11 different maquilas who were actually making them. The quality was always up and down. The online return sucked. Do you know what the online return rate for
Pretty
our
high.
bag is? 3%.
Yeah.
But
Shoes is really
online
high.
shoes, stupid crazy, especially real leather boots that they want to put on and fit exactly perfect the second they put them on. It was terrible. And Maverick's like, why would I spend and then lifetime value sucked. You know, it was just absolutely horrible. And Maverick's like, why would I spend a single dollar on a boot that I could be sending on a bank? Why would I do that? I know if I get them to buy this, they'll do this and they'll do this. This is the unknown. Hey, stupid, shut that shit down.
Mm.
And so we literally shut the entire, and people are like, what are you talking about? Nobody goes to 40 million in 18 months and shuts it down. And it was the smartest thing that we've
Well,
ever
sometimes it's actually the right thing to do. It's like if dude,
Absolutely.
just because something can sell a lot doesn't mean it's a good business.
One,
Curtis, you should have sold it. You shouldn't have shut it down. You should have sold it. That's the only fuck up you
That's
had
the only
there.
mistake. Somebody would have bought that.
You probably walked away from $30 million. But besides that, I understand where you're coming from.
the efficiencies, I feel really good where we are. Tactically on selling online, I believe our marketing team has it if I can provide them the right product. It's all retention. It's all just running the numbers. And the thing that a lot of people don't know about business that you guys know is now that you've made the right decisions, you have to play it out for 1 and 2, 3 years as you modify it. Because the money is not made by making a decision. The money is made by running that out month over month, season after season, year after year. Because when you start up a company like we did, we went to a bank and said, hey, can you give us some money? And they're like, what sales have you done in the last 3 years? We're like, nothing. Because when you're doubling every year, 3 years ago sucks.
Mm.
And I didn't want to take equity to go in the future. So we did the impossible. We just did this ourselves. We have to make enough profit to build, to grow, to pay for everything, to make a bunch of profit, pay our people well, create the vision, create the dream, and then keep the entire company going where it needs to go.
Well, Curtis, we can end on this. Obviously, you built an amazing brand. It seems like you owe a lot to that girlfriend. Is she still your girlfriend?
She is. That's the craziest thing. Now, the funnest part of that story is I used to brag. She quit her job. She just told me last month. She said, I actually took a leave of absence for 3 months because I didn't believe in you. And I did not know that part of the story. I really didn't. I'm like, really? She goes, yeah, I was back in that restaurant a year later, and the manager came up and said, obviously, you're not coming back. Yeah. But she was just a college graduate, had went off and got a job as a waitress while she's figuring out what to do with life. And now she is works with me in this company, and she's the head of all the leather. So she gets to purchase 15 million square feet of leather next year. From
super cool,
dude.
So she's a little bit different than a part-time.
Don't screw it up.
Well, Curtis, I'm gonna find my way down to Leon, Mexico sometime soon, and we can hang out. And I'd love to see the factory. And thanks for coming out and telling your story. You're obviously a hella fun dude, so we gotta hang out. You are big ball energy, and I love seeing that.
Well, I hear you fly around a lot and speak a lot and do a lot of events. So when we're off of this thing, let me know some of the places you're going. I have a pretty flexible lifestyle. I get to do a lot of things. And I told you Leon is an industrial city. I bought a place in a place called San Miguel Allende. It's on a vineyard right there. It was Travel Magazine called it the #1 small city in the world. So I have a place that can sleep 24 out there in San Miguel. So when people come down, they get to see here, they get to do this, and then we drive 2 hours to my place up on the vineyard in San Miguel, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, that just sounds awful. We shouldn't do that. Dude. No.
Operators party. Let's get it done. Curtis, we appreciate your time.
Your podcast is amazing. I continue to grow. This is really fun to hear from all 4 of you guys. And I'm glad that the 2 people that I got to speak to today are my 2 favorite of the 4. So thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, the other
we'll make sure that we replay that for the other 2. That's what we want to hear.
Thanks, guys.
Right on.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Curtis. That's the pod.
You made it. An amazing episode of the Operators Podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing to the newsletter. Thank you to fulfill the best sponsor on earth, Northbeam, Postscript. They're tied for 2 of the best sponsors on earth. Love them, love what they do for us. Thank you for being here. Subscribe, like, share, follow me on Twitter, follow the other guys on Twitter. Talk to you later. Goodbye.